There was some pretty big news announced today, especially if you're someone who is a Bungie fan or a Destiny fan. And I like to consider myself a fan of both. However, I did lose interest over the years. I feel like Destiny kind of lost its way, and it seems to happen a lot with, large scale MMO style games. And I think of MapleStory, for example. I grew up playing MapleStory and I loved it. It was a simple concept, platforming 2D adventure RPG. You kind of hop around and you just fight mushrooms and slimes. It was very simple, and yet it was so bloody addictive. And over the years, I mean, MapleStory is still around today. It still has a huge cult following. But if you go play MapleStory today, I mean, it's very different than the MapleStory that I grew up playing. It's drastically different. And Destiny kind of went the exact same way. In the early days, Destiny 1, which was one of my all-time favorite games, I loved doing the strikes. I loved exploring the worlds. I loved learning the story, even though it was a bit convoluted most of the time. But, those aspects of the world, it was just so engaging and so enjoyable. And the gunplay in Destiny was probably the greatest gunplay I've ever experienced in any game. I mean, all of the weapons felt so unique. It was a really great experience. The one aspect of Destiny that always kind of frustrated me as someone who largely plays solo in all the games that I have is the fact that Destiny really pushes you into playing with other people in some game modes, such as the raids, for example, which is a perfect example. You're forced to play with, 5 other people, and you essentially have to be coordinating your actions. You essentially have to be on, party chat and doing all this kind of stuff. And personally, as someone who would rather be playing solo, I do not want to have to be forced to do those types of activities. And the game doesn't necessarily force you to do them, but at the same time, I mean, it is an expensive game, and when you buy the original base game or you buy any of the DLC, you want to get your money's worth. And if so much of the content is locked behind this sort of raid or other activities that force you to play with other people, it is a bit frustrating at times. And it was for those reasons predominantly that I lost interest in the game. In the early days of Destiny, I had a large friend group that I worked with, actually, and we would all play Destiny together. And in those days, it worked, right? I had the people that were available, and I had a lot of time. But as I got older and I had less time, and I mean, I still have those friends, but I mean, everyone's living their own lives. It's so much more difficult to get together and do something like that. So it doesn't make sense. I mean, we can't sit down for 6 hours with people across the world and do this raid activity. It's just, we're all grown-ups now. We have lives, we have families, we have careers, and in my case, I got education still on the go. There's so much going on. And these kind of games, they don't work with, that type of situation. And I think a lot of people have that situation, and games like Destiny made it very difficult. Destiny was one of these games where it didn't reward you for only having an hour to sit down to play. You had to sit down for, 5 hours, 6 hours a day sometimes just to do something, and it became exhausting. When Destiny 2 came out, I was interested. I played it for a couple of years, on and off, but it never really had that original Destiny 1 vibe for me. I just couldn't find that same amazing experience that I had in the early days. But still, even though I haven't played Destiny 2 in many years, it doesn't change the fact that I still see Destiny, the whole series, the game, the mechanics, the story. It was some of the greatest experiences of my life. And now to see that it is essentially ending, it's the end of an era. Yeah, so anyways, yeah, I mean, I kind of went off on a tangent there, but surprise, Destiny is coming to a close. There is an announcement here that Bungie put out. I figured we would just take a moment to read it here. So, for almost 12 years, we have had the joy and honor to explore the Destiny universe with you all. Through all the ups and downs, surprises and triumphs, building Destiny alongside our players has been a monumental privilege. While our love for Destiny 2 has not changed, it has become clear that after the final shape, we have reached the time for our shared worlds in Destiny to live beyond Destiny 2. As our focus turns towards a new beginning for Bungie, we will begin work incubating our next games. To that end, on June 9th, we will release the final live service content update for Destiny 2 to begin that new journey as a studio. Though active development may be concluding, we will ensure that Destiny 2 remains playable just as the original Destiny is today. Many changes in this final update will aim to ensure that Destiny 2 is a welcoming place for players to return to. Because of you all, our universe is vast, built on years of shared stories, adventures, and victories. From the Cosmodrome to the Pale Heart to the Lawless Frontier, we have forged lifelong memories and friendships with you all. We are incredibly grateful to everyone who made that journey with us. From the deepest part of our hearts, thank you, and we'll see you in the stars. So it looks like we have another notice here from the dev team. And down here, it looks like there are a bunch of updates coming that they are just announcing here. Thank you. Destiny 2 has been our home for many, many years. The unknown can sometimes feel wild, even a bit scary at times, but these opportunities to explore the future are invigorating. As we look ahead, our commitment remains the same, to make games we and you are excited to play. From all of us here at Bungie, we cannot thank you enough for joining us on this journey throughout the Sol system. You'll still find us Starside for years to come. Sounds like the game will still be playable, so if you are someone who really enjoys Destiny 2, it's not going anywhere, but active development on it is going to stop, but support for it will continue, which is good. One thing I do take away from this is, maybe it's a weird thing, but whenever a big game like this is kind of coming to a close, what I'll often see, and again, I'm looking at this from the perspective of someone who likes to play games on Mac today, which again, I know it's a bit weird, but that's just what I like to do. From that perspective, this may be sort of not a good announcement, but it might be leading to something good, because when games like this at this scale come to a close like this, oftentimes that means they will look for alternative markets, potentially smaller markets to kind of make a quick buck. And as a result, who knows? Maybe this game will appear on like the Mac App Store or Destiny 1. It never made sense to me why Destiny 1 never appeared on the Mac. I mean, why not put it there? I mean, I would spend $10, $20, $30 for Destiny 1 on Mac just so I can relive some of the experiences in that game. I don't want to play it through cloud gaming. I would rather download it, but anyways, maybe this game will appear on there at some point. I think that would be really fun. Anyways, this is a pretty big announcement. It's sad in a way because this was a series that I really, really enjoyed. Granted, I haven't played in many years, and there's so much of the game that I never even experienced. I was always saying I'll get to it one day. I'll get to it one day, and now of course they've stopped all development on it. Anyway, so it's sort of a question that maybe some people have is why is this happening? Why is Destiny 2 coming to an end? Probably some of the answer to that can be found in some recent news coming out of Sony. Sony reported a massive $765 million impairment loss tied directly to its acquisition of Bungie. This financial development means Sony has officially written down the value, admitting it significantly overpaid when it purchased Bungie for $3.6 billion. So according to this, the financial details, the total includes $204 million loss recorded in Q2, followed by a much larger $565 million loss recorded in Q4. I mean, this is not good. Google AI is pulling some of this information from Reddit and some news media, but it says here Destiny 2 nosedive. So players have steadily moved away from this live service title. Destiny 2 recently hit some of the lowest simultaneous player counts in the history of the franchise on platforms like Steam. This is my opinion, but I suspect that maybe a lot of people feel the same way. Of course, there's always new games coming out. There's always competition for players' time and for gamers' money and pockets. That's a given. But in the case of Destiny, over the years, I feel like it's sort of lost its way. Whenever you have a game that people really enjoyed early on, I mean, maybe it took a little bit for people to get into it, but players really enjoy it. Like, I think of the early days of Destiny where when a new raid came out, for example, and there was like these huge raiding groups trying to be the first ones to complete the raid, and it was all being streamed on Twitch and stuff. And some of these raids, it took like 12 hours to complete the first time, and everyone's watching and cheering on these teams. I mean, again, I was never a part of this. I really disliked the raid aspect of Destiny, but I really enjoyed cheering on the groups and watching them try to compete and to be the first ones to complete a raid. I thought that was really fun. It made the the whole community feels so active and engaged. And I don't know, over the years, Destiny lost that momentum. They started adding more and more and more to the game, and it becomes overwhelming at a point. And maybe that's what happened. And it's also that these games demand so much of players' time, and you can't keep that up. Maybe some people can, but the average person doesn't have this much time to sink into a game. They can't sit down for 6 hours at a time to try to beat a raid or something. It just does not work. And Destiny really lost that footing. It thought that if it kept adding more and more and more to the game, that it would sort of, bring players in and kind of hold on to them, but it wasn't the right content, I feel. It certainly wasn't the right content for me. In my case, I just wanted more, activities that a solo player could do. If you kept adding more story content or more worlds to explore and stuff, that was really all I wanted. But I mean, they kept putting more and more development time into raids and those sort of activities and competitive aspects of the game, which again, I mean, I was not that interested in. That certainly wasn't enough to keep the game afloat. And we can see here that clearly Destiny 2 was leaking players crazily. And then mismanagement and brain drain. Fans and industry analysts point to a history of studio mismanagement, high-profile leadership shifts, and several brutal waves of layoffs. So, a bit sad, but this is the way things go sometimes. I don't think it's necessarily that it is a live service per se that kind of killed it off. There are live service games that are very successful. I just don't think Destiny 2 really found its stride in that genre. And I don't know, personally, I think they should have stuck with what was going on with Destiny 1. I thought they had a good momentum there. And then Destiny 2 came out and they went into a completely different direction, and it just became too much. But anyways, yeah, the end of an era. Just wanted to comment on this. This was one of my all-time favorite games and game series or game franchises. So it's a bit upsetting, but all the best to Bungie. I'm anxious to see what else they come out with, and I'm kind of hoping that I see Destiny games come to the Mac at some point natively. I think that would be pretty cool. I mean, if Bungie can put a small team together and just kind of port the games over into the App Store, I'd be pretty happy with that. Hey, I'll give you $100 right now for both Destiny 1 and Destiny 2. Full games, all the content available on the Mac App Store right now. I'll buy it right now. There's $100. Bungie, make it happen.